Welcome back to Crazy Ex Podcast. This week, Roger and I watched Season 1, Episode 8, My Mom, Greg's Mom, and Josh's Sweet Dance Moves.
I can't tell you the conversation that we had about the structure of this title, but so much so that we actually had an outtake of it.
Roger was really disappointed to find out that Greg's mom and Rebecca's mom did not have sweet dance moves. He thought that they were all having sweet dance moves, along with Josh.
I assumed it was the three of them having sweet dance moves.
Yeah. I'm sorry that you were disappointed by that.
It's okay. I'll live.
So, to summarize this episode, Rebecca's mom comes to visit for Hanukkah, and Rebecca goes full mom pleaser, lying about her life. When Rebecca finally stands up to her mom, they have a heart-to-heart, bringing them closer. Meanwhile, Josh relives his glory days as a dancer, but realizes it's time to grow up. And Greg brings Heather to his abandoning mom's house for Christmas, only for Heather to show him that he's the jerk and he needs to get over it, resulting in them getting together in the end. Roger, what do you think of this episode?
I enjoyed it. I really like the juxtaposition of Rebecca wants to do everything possible to please her terrible mother, in my opinion, and Greg hates his mother, who by all accounts seems like a very good person. So they have like completely inverse reactions, and it seems like inverse situations. Like Greg makes it sound like you're going to go to this like Real Housewives insanity nonsense, and that's like the most normal looking Christmas home I've ever seen. And then Rebecca is, of course, like doing nothing more than what a teenage girl does to please her mom. And you're just like, oh, what is happening? Like it was fascinating to see the same thing in this episode, but so different.
I also really liked that, like seeing Greg's perspective of what happened and what actually happened. And like he was a kid, so I can understand how he might have felt that way. And I don't think his mom is denying that, like, I should have done things a little differently, but she's just very matter of fact, like, yeah, your dad and I needed to split up. Like, that was not an okay thing, and you didn't want to come, and I didn't want to upset you, and that wasn't right. But, like, I didn't abandon you.
Yeah, like, and maybe I'm skewed from watching a show that is way more over the top and, like, direct, you know? Because, like, things don't happen the way they do in, like, Once Upon a Time. But when I think of abandonment, I definitely think of dropped through a portal or put in a bassinet and just, like, left you. As opposed to, like, we got a divorce. I wanted you to come with me. You didn't want to leave your dad, which is not unreasonable. But she didn't abandon him. Like, I don't think that term is appropriate. I think it's...
I mean, she invites him over for Christmas every year and tries to see him more than that, and he doesn't want to.
And, like... Even, like, because that could be making amends, but, like, at the time, she was like, I wanted you to live with me. You refused to leave. You didn't want to leave your dad. And I let it go. Like, fine, maybe I should have pushed harder, but, like, that isn't what you wanted. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh.
I was really curious how old Greg was in this situation.
I mean, I'm guessing...
Because I think that makes a big difference in the, like, his letting him choose.
Yeah, because, I mean, obviously, if he's 5 years old, you don't let a 5-year-old make a choice. So he's probably... around her kid's age is what I would gather.
Well, and she also doesn't do what a lot of parents do, which is like, your dad was a horrible person, and like I had to get out. It was like, we were just like,
unhappy.
We were not happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she doesn't like blame the father for being this like monster. It's just like we were not happy together, and it's not unreasonable to say that like, well, we didn't want you to grow up with the two of us hating each other. Like that's what good parents don't want.
Greg also made it seem like she like moved really far away, and I think she lives like 2 towns over.
Well, and also Greg made it sound like that, like she's constantly belittling him. Yeah. Like he made it sound like she is what Rebecca's mom actually is.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, you just work at a bar and you're so pathetic, and why you're throwing your life away. And it's like, actually, this woman's like very supportive. They're proud that you work at a bar, and we're more than happy to help you move on, which we know you want to do. Why the fuck are you bitching?
Yeah. It was also a really fun juxtaposition to see Heather, who is like really cynical about everything, just having like a fun time doing like very like tropey Christmassy things.
So I wonder if that is what made Greg realize he was the problem.
Yeah.
That like crazy kind of cynical out there Heather is like, this is awesome, what's wrong with you? And he's just like, this is hell. And she's like, no, you're the problem. Like, this is amazing.
I like how she wanted to come because she thought it was going to be a train wreck.
Like a Rebecca situation.
But she says, I wanted to come because I thought that you were cute and they were jerks. But it turns out...
Not jerks.
Sorry,
terrible.
Oh, terrible. But it turns out you're terrible and they're cute.
And he's just like... I'm like, yeah, man, that's 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the reason he doesn't like them is that he is not attracted to normal.
Maybe.
Like,
yeah.
This is the psychological issue that he has where it's like, oh no, but like my mom is a good person and this family is normal. I can't handle that. I need insanity.
He's also like a very, like, self-deprecation is like a big part of his vibe. So he needs some sort of drama to feed on to like make that fit.
Yeah, he is, like, I would not call him depressive, but he is very self-deprecating.
Yeah.
And it's almost like...
He's jaded.
Yeah, he's very jaded, and it's like maybe seeing this makes him accept things he just isn't willing to accept.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually really like this episode overall. I think there's like some good growth for Rebecca, Josh, and Greg.
2 of the 3 I agree with.
Man, you just hate Rebecca.
I mean, she's pathetic.
Well, she's incredibly pathetic in this episode, but she does stand up to her mom at the end.
Did she, though? This feels like that episode where she like learned a good lesson about Josh, but in the very end didn't learn a thing.
What did she not learn in the very end?
I can't stand you, mother, blah, 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 blah. What are you talking about? I don't hate you. I love you. I love you too, Mommy, of course. I don't want to come home for Passover. Mom stares at her. I'll come home for Passover. Has anything changed in their relationship?
That's a good question. She doesn't care about the Garfinkel ring anymore, though.
I think that was a stone cold lie. Had Mommy pulled the ring out and says, I did this to see if you wanted, she would have...
That is such a thing that she would do. Naomi, I mean.
Both of them. Like, Nan would absolutely say, I mean, I think she even said that, like, she's proud of her standing up for her. So, like, you abused your daughter specifically to toughen her up?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite lines, for sure. What did she say? I'm glad you stood up to me, because when the Cossacks come, you'll fight back.
I didn't get educated on the East Coast the way you did, so I've never heard the term the Cossacks. I think I've only heard that in video game terms, so I have no idea what that is.
My limited history understanding is... So I assume... I believe that Rebecca and her mom are Ashkenazi Jews, so they're from Russia.
Uh-huh.
And the Cossacks are from Russia. And like many places all over the world, the Cossacks decided to fight with and kick the Jews out.
Okay.
And that's why they were on the boat.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
Immigrating to America?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. When I first met the mom, I asked the question, is she a terrible person? I'm now asking a different question. What argument could there be that implies that she isn't a terrible person? Unless Rebecca is completely making up all of the things that we see. If all of that is fake, I will grant that. Though based on how we see her in this episode, unlikely.
And I know that, like, Paula is, like, obviously on, like, Rebecca's side, but Paula has, like, witnessed conversations that she's had with her mother. Like, I think that Paula would tell her what was up.
There's enough here that you can kind of tell that, like, this is not a lie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's not a great argument for her not being a terrible person. She's not a great person. She's a bad person.
Yeah.
There's a song in season 3 that is maybe an argument about she's not a terrible person. But.
Like, it just really, I don't know, like, again, not a parent, but I can't imagine seeing the kid be that much of a people pleaser and not immediately identifying that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much not how you want to raise a child, to be subservient and, like, say everything that you want to hear, unless you're just a self-absorbed sycophant. And then, like, good God, what is wrong with you, woman?
Her entrance was perfect. Like, that song.
Is that a stereotype?
What?
You've mentioned stereotypical Jewish mother, but I don't.
Oh yeah,
really
she's definitely like controlling, like always like fussing about like, when are you getting married? When are you giving me grandchildren? Like, that's like.
I'm starting to drive like the grandma that she'll never be. That is such an amazingly fucked up line.
Yeah. And then there's also like Jewish stereotype of like woman who complains and never stop talking. That's like totally a thing.
Oh, don't cut me off.
Yeah. She's like, where's the bathroom? I'm going to keep talking and then yell at you when you didn't tell me where the bathroom was. Even though Rebecca did once tell her where the bathroom was and she wasn't listening because she was talking. Yeah, so I mean, her mom is, like, she fulfills every stereotype of like, what a Jewish, what is often portrayed as a Jewish mother. I'm not Jewish, so I don't know. Like, I've heard Jewish people say that, like, even in real life, there are things like this.
This is not entirely fictional.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly have heard stereotypes about, like, overpossessive, protective mothers probably existed in all cultures.
Yeah.
But this specific behavior type must be a stereotype being played for laughs.
Yeah. I mean, I guess what I get out of this is I want to know a little bit more. Like, we're now seeing partially why Rebecca is the way that she is. Like, you could not live with this person and not be fucked up. But I also am curious what made her like that? What made Naomi like that?
I would be very curious to see. So I think we had a quick aside from Rebecca's father, and I now wonder what his perspective on this is. Because much like Greg's mother, it's like, I was just miserable. I'm not entirely sure that he's entirely wrong to be like, I gotta go. Like, this is just not healthy. Now, it sounds like he was doing bad things as well, but also Naomi seems like the type that would yell that and be lying.
Well, also just another, like, totally stereotypical Jewish thing. You must marry a Jewish person.
Yeah.
And Naomi did not.
And and Rebecca says that you hate me because you hate him.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's, like, if she always hated him or if it was, like, he left, so.
Aren't you... I know nothing about Judaism, but I always thought there was something about you're only it if you get it from your father's side.
It's mother.
It is mother's side. Okay, so you can only get it from your mother's side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a philosophy that I know you disagree with about, like, there are just certain people you need to cut out of your life. It is just, they're cancerous. She's pretty high on this fucking list.
Speaking of cancer, Rebecca's mom had a really funny line about that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, yes.
When she was talking about, when she was trying to hook up with Calvin, the client man, and she's talking about how, like, everyone where she lives is old or married or cancer. She doesn't say have cancer. She just says cancer.
And Westchester is Upper East Side?
No. Westchester is the county that is north of Manhattan.
Because you said she's an old Jewish woman, she must live on the Upper East Side.
I did not say that.
Yeah, a previous episode you said that, because I asked where does she live, and you were like, she's an old Jewish woman, she must live in that, and you named a location. I assumed that was that location.
I'm sure that I meant Westchester is the county that is north of Manhattan. A lot of wealthy people that live there, and a lot of Jewish people.
Okay, that's what I was saying is, like, that was the count. That was what you were referring to. And you say, like, that's a stereotypical place where Jewish people would live.
It's like where people that want to live in big houses live, so that they can still easily commute to the city. Like,
Gotcha.
There's a train that takes you there in like 20 minutes.
Gotcha. It's the suburbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess you said you saw growth in this one. I was like, I don't know that I did.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a good point about her caving on Passover. But I do think that's, like, that Passover conversation is, like, a lot more of a normal, like, push-pull relationship with a parent. Not, like, the totally fucked up version of the relationship that they have. To be like, yeah, I want to see you. Like, I don't know if I want to come you should come for the holiday. I don't know. Like, that's very normal. It's sure. They've reached more of, like a normal place versus I'm gonna make you tell your client that he needs to fuck me and you have to leave.
I mean, the conversation that you described feels like a very normal, like, oh, I wish you'd come out for Thanksgiving. Oh, I'm busy, but I'll try. What I recall seeing was, you coming out for Passover? No. Mom glares at Rebecca. Fine, I'll do it. I was like, oh, this is, like, it feels like we went right back to step one.
I do think part of that is also something that Rebecca did not address here, is that she does not seem to celebrate Jewish holidays.
Yeah, that was my next point. This entire visit was basically a charade.
Yes.
Why?
Did you just say charade?
I did say charade.
Are you Paula from London town?
Do you have some tea?
And matzah.
And matzah. Honestly, I think Paula had so much fun playing that fictional character.
My god, that was so great.
Fantastic. And the absurdity of it is that, like, you know what? This whole thing is a joke anyway. Why not have some fun with it?
I did think it was interesting that, like, Naomi finds something to criticize in almost everything.
Yeah.
But she seemed to truly like Paula.
Because Paula also found something to criticize in everything.
That's true.
She was basically mocking her to her face in a roundabout way. And Naomi's like, this woman's delightful. She hates everything like I do. I also thought Naomi maybe had seen through it.
Maybe.
But it didn't sound like she did. But I thought she had seen through it and was kind of laughing at the idea that, like, wow, Rebecca, you're so pathetic that you couldn't even find a real friend. It turns out that Paula's gimmick was very convincing.
Yeah. I still, I mean, I can believe ultimate mom pleaser, as Paula calls out. I cannot believe that she asked Calvin to sleep with her mother. This is horrifying. I also loved Calvin's response. I'm a mom pleaser myself. I get it, but no.
So you'll do it? No. Yeah. Also, I love that Paula is just flat out calling out Rebecca when she's full of her shit. But like, yeah, Josh is out here, and I don't want my mom to think I moved out here. You mean which you did? No. Okay.
We're still doing that.
I wonder if Rebecca really... So, the Dr. Phil episode, going back one, was fascinating because we learned some of the things that, like, Rebecca actually knows about herself since it's a figment of her own imagination. Like, the imagining songs, like, I thought that was just for us, but she also, like, is really seeing them. And also, he mentioned the, like, you moved here for Josh thing. So it sounds like Rebecca actually knows that she moved here for Josh and is just in denial outwardly.
I think that's...
But she does really know that's why she did it.
Yeah.
Because I think for a while it was like, no, I really moved here just to be happy. And I was like,
I mean, I do think that there is a kernel of, like, I think she thinks Josh will make her happy, and that's partially why she moved here. Because she was unhappy. Like, she was unhappy.
Sure.
And I feel like the whole story is how Rebecca figures out to be happy on her own.
Yeah. I agree that she hopes that a side effect of being with Josh will be happy.
Yes.
But she's not just attempting to go be happy, she's attempting to be with Josh. Yeah, I mean, look, the song that Naomi sings is hilarious. It is perfect, stereotypical Jewish mother. Just from the moment she walks in, she is a whirring dervish of insults and criticisms and just like, what? I couldn't imagine making that much effort for anyone to then just be berated nonstop.
Happy? What's happy? That's a term for stupid people.
Which is probably something that Rebecca has heard her entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like when I watched that scene, I was just thinking of, like, you know, someone when I was younger insulted my mom, and she just looked at him and goes, "Huh, get the fuck out of my house."
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would have said.
I mean, I think the other thing, like we were talking about, like what made Rebecca's mom this way. It seems like she's always been this way, but I think that she tried to be happy and it made her look stupid. Like
Who tried to be happy?
Naomi. Her husband, she fell in love with someone, she married him, they had a child, he cheated on her and left, whatever. Like, I think she's like, that was stupid and now I'm unhappy. So don't be happy, it's stupid.
So what you're saying is her philosophy is somewhere along the line of love and happiness are weaknesses.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I've heard that phrase before.
Yeah,
I would love... I wish Rebecca had a sibling. That would be fascinating to see her relationship. And then I think I need the father's perspective on this.
Yeah.
Because he could give us insight into Naomi in a way that Rebecca is not capable of giving us. And much like we saw with Greg, kids get it wrong. Mm-hmm. So maybe what she remembers is very different than what really happened. Mm-hmm. And also, Naomi seems like a gaslighter. So the stories that she may have told Rebecca could be filled with some truth, but not all. Yeah.
I mean, that, the flashback of Rebecca's birthday party, where her mom and her dad get in a fight, and then her dad leaves. Like, it doesn't, like, I feel like they're both monsters in that fight. Her mom says something horrible about, like, how Rebecca's friends are losers, and her dad is like, how could you let her have a party where all these losers are here? Like, it's horrible.
I remember what you're talking about, yeah.
And then her mom says, "You're the reason that he left."
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, is that what really happened?
Yeah, that's a good... I mean, it's what Rebecca remembers.
Exactly.
And she was little.
That's what I'm... Well, and also, she subjectively got something wrong.
It does feel like you're the reason that he left is a thing that her mom would say.
Oh, not that. I mean the whole... like, the way she remembers that whole conversation and series of events could be, And also, memories fade over time, right? Most people don't picture perfect remember dialogue.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, it'll be a while, but we do get to meet Rebecca's dad.
Oh, good. When you say a while, are we talking seasons?
1 season.
Okay. So that will be things I look forward to.
Maybe, 1 season. Anything else on Rebecca and her mom?
Do we meet the friend? The frenemy?
What friend? Yes.
That, in the absence of a sibling, may be fascinating to see, because that sounds like the woman that Naomi actually wants her to be.
Audra Levine.
Audra Levine. Yeah, that would be fascinating to meet her as well.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm good on that one. I want to talk more about Greg.
Yeah, me too. Well, first I love that Heather just invited herself to Greg's family Christmas.
Amazing.
It was great.
Yeah.
And he just agreed because he wanted... What did he say?
He wanted a witness.
I wanted a witness, not a turncoat.
It's one of my top lines.
It was really good.
It was hilarious. And also, it was such a inversion of what I thought it was going to be that it was so funny. I was honestly expecting the most disastrous Christmas party you could imagine. An evil, drunken Rebecca's mom, essentially. An evil stepfather, these obnoxious, bratty kids. This is going to be horrible. And also, didn't he say it was this huge event with so many people and so much meat that it's ridiculous? And I was like, this is a normal Christmas party. What are you talking? This isn't even normal. This is just a family dinner.
Yeah.
It was so different. And I was like, wow, Greg, you're fucked up.
I loved Greg, imitating his mom and being like, tell us what it's like to be poor, Greg. And they're just so supportive. They're like, yeah, you're, working to put yourself through school and you, take care of your dad. And, we'd be happy to help you.
It's an interesting insight in the fact that, what is very obviously a compliment to someone who is not broken inside can't even get through as anything more than a slight, making fun of the working class only, increases the problem. And it's she's actually respecting the working class on this one. Mm-hmm. Though I will say, it is very weird that they have a conversation about her fake boobs.
I think she was, trying to be cool, funny mom or something. Yeah.
Look.
I don't know. Heather thought it was really funny.
It is funny. I would never, ever have a conversation about my mom's boobs. Period. That's just not a conversation I want to have.
Okay.
Ever.
Fair enough.
Unless it's you're going through cancer. Where it's we need to talk about this.
Yeah. I think the other thing that Heather doesn't say these exact words, but she really shows Greg, you're choosing to be unhappy in this situation. You could just grow up and get over it, and these people are nice to you.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people will use that argument, I think, in an unfair way. Oh, you just have to suck it up and smile. It's okay, but there are real situations. Greg's father can't just suck it up and smile. Yeah, he's dying and suffering through emphysema. Don't tell him to just suck it up. That's not fair. This isn't that, though. Yeah. You're acting like you're being forced to suffer through this agonizing event. It's most people would, Rebecca would love to have a family dynamic like this.
Yes, she would.
Love to have this. Honestly, it's almost my question should have been, what are you so mad about, man?
Yeah.
What is it that you were so... Other than he's very clearly bitter about what happened to his father.
I also I also wonder if he feels bitter about having to take care of his father now.
Probably. Because you left him.
Yeah.
And he says, I wasn't going to leave him like you did.
Yeah. Which is, that's not really her fault. Exactly. It's not her job as his divorced mother to take care of. They shouldn't have stayed married just so she could take care of him when he was old.
Yeah, fault. You're right. It's not the fault. The problem is that from Greg's perspective, you had a kid with this man. I am said kid. No one else is going to have that responsibility. So since you took off, I got left holding the bag. So you're right. It's not her fault, but Greg got stuck because of it.
Although, if Greg asked, she would help financially, which is part of the problem.
part of it. But
because like the whole thing, he used his college savings to help his father, and she's willing to pay for his college.
I mean, I think it's a little bit more than money, though, because it's like...
Of course, there's like time and nurses and stuff. Like, it's not...
like he's alone.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, if mom was still there, he wouldn't be alone.
Yeah.
So if I leave, he's now alone. And it's just it's like he's been burdened, and it's not fair that the mom was burdened with that either. But like, if you're the kid, it's like, well, I'm not the one who's supposed to be burdened with this.
But also, like, is he alone because he is he's the terrible version of Greg that like let this feeling of fester? Like, is that?
Are you talking about the?
Well, just like how Greg is being terrible in this situation.
Oh.
Like he and his father seem kind of similar to me.
Yeah.
And I could imagine like his wife left him. And it was terrible, and then he became terrible, and he just let that fester. And now he's still alone, because then everywhere he goes, he talks about, my wife left me, and she's terrible.
I see. Based on how Greg is, that's a very fair assumption. Mm-hmm. It is likely that there's elements of that are true.
I also love that this whole episode was about growing up, and Heather truly helped Greg grow up.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode, she just quits her job so that she can hang out more with Greg right now.
Yeah. I quit! I mean, job is...
I mean, it seems like it's a seasonal job, and, like, Christmas is maybe over?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Because the party was a Christmas Eve party, so we can place it at the 23rd. They're walking in the store the next day, so it's about the 24th, so the job's about to be over anyway.
Yeah. Anything else on Greg?
I did not see Heather and Greg being a thing. That caught me off guard.
I mean, I think that if you think of... They're both, like, pretty jaded, but in different ways.
Sure.
I think Greg is older than Heather?
Yes.
But not a ton, because Rebecca's, like, 25? No. She said it's been 10... She's, like, 26, 27, maybe.
Because they were high schoolers when they met.
And presumably Greg is the same age as Josh. So probably also... He might be like a year or two older. But
he's in that late 20s range. And then Heather is still in school.
Yes, but we hear a lot from Heather. I'm not sure if we've heard this yet. Heather has been in school for a long time.
Yeah. But she's not 30.
She's probably like
24?
over 21, but not... Yeah.
I would peg her around 23, 24.
Yeah. He's older, but not... They're not. It's not crazy.
It's not unreasonable for a 28-year-old and a 24-year-old to go out.
Right.
It wasn't the age thing. It was just Heather doesn't seem to show interest in anyone other than from a purely like, ooh, I want to see a disaster. Mm-hmm. We hadn't really seen Greg show an interest in her, and then it was just like all of a sudden. And what is it? What is she makes fun of him for something? Oh, he says, yeah, high five, and she's like, weak.
She also calls him old when he was trying to buy that. Yeah. Also, now that I know how old those twins are, he was trying to buy them like a T-ball set. So Greg is just clueless about children.
Well, he does say, I can't remember how old they are. They're either 6 or 15.
Okay. And Heather's like, you must be old because you're buying them. You think kids still play outside?
Yeah, I found out that kids don't ride bikes anymore.
Mm-hmm. Kids don't go outside. Yeah.
So what does the little kid call him?
I don't know.
He insults him.
He does.
And Greg is like, that was...
Warranted.
He calls him a dick.
Yeah, I think he does call him a dick.
Because the mom was like, Mason! And I was like, he's not wrong.
Yeah. Anything else on Greg?
No. That was kind of a fun twist to see. I feel like Greg is usually the sympathetic character. Mm-hmm. Like, with his father, with Rebecca. It's always him the one who's the victim. So it was kind of nice to see that, like, you're the problem
You're
this time.
the Grinch.
You're the Grinch! Yeah. And not like in a horribly terrible way, just like you're a whiny, kind of self-deprecating crybaby who makes a situation that's actually really cool sound like it's a big deal because you can't get over what happened 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of liked it. And
then our smallest plot is Josh. But I actually think we get a lot out of what's happening with Josh here. It's kind of... I mean, I like sort of suspected this while I was watching, but you really know when in this episode... Josh is that person that thinks high school was the best time of his life.
Josh is that person who peaked in high school.
Yeah.
100%.
I think it's both so sweet and so sad that kid pretended to be hurt to let Josh relive his glory days.
Especially because, like, just add him into the thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that he would have. I think that it needed to be like you're saving the show.
Yeah. I know, but that is so like, wow, a high school kid basically realized that you need this.
Yeah. And like you really see like even just we only get like maybe a few minutes with Josh total, but like he had his mom call in sick for him at work.
Well, and even like he spends the first part of the episode whining about how he has to work and how he can't even sit on Santa's lap anymore. Who winks at him, by the way? There's a lot of winking in this episode.
No.
Yeah, that kind of gave me the ick. I was like, ooh, I don't know about all that. And then
not just the winking, but also Greg saying, "I think he'd let you sit on his lap."
That's what I was like. That's weird. And then I think Naomi later winks at Calvin.
She definitely does. Yeah. She does.
That was a nice little callback. Yeah, Josh definitely. I mean, objectively. Naomi is the walking personification of that meme from The Onion where it's the worst person you know makes a valid point that you agree with. When she talks about how much of a loser Josh is, you're just like, I like Josh and I don't like you, but you are correct. Josh is objectively a loser.
Yeah. But it seems like he's realizing that he needs to grow up and maybe he's going to figure that out. He doesn't even live with his mom, and she called in sick for him at work. Like, it's one thing to be so sick that you can't call in, but he's not sick, and he doesn't live with his mom. Yep. I also just, like, really felt it when that kid, the dancing kid, said, "Man, adult stuff sucks." I was like, man, adult stuff does suck!
They're not wrong. I also, and when he talks about, like, are you the Josh Chan? You're the guy who led us to the hip-hop championship. And I'm just like, oh, you're that guy who's like, you know, back in 95, I won a state championship. This was so awesome. I was like, and then? Oh, this was the mountaintop.
Well, and it's interesting, like, I feel like there could be a storyline here where, like, Josh becomes, like, a dance instructor. Yeah. Because, like, he choreographed that dance. He didn't just do it, he choreographed it. That's cool, and they still do it. Like, he could teach them how to do that. Also, just, like, Josh's got some sweet dance moves.
If only he had access to, like, a studio. You know, some kind of place where he could really teach people how to dance. Unfortunately, we don't know anybody who has a studio that he could use.
We don't.
You know the sad thing is? She would never let him do that.
No. It would be beneath him. He has to be like a lawyer or something.
I bet Naomi and Valencia would get along great.
I think they would.
Wow. They would talk shit about each other behind each other's back, but they would love each other to each other's face.
I have several favorite lines that we haven't talked about yet. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm good.
All right. I loved when Calvin said, "I'm very tight with my Krav Maga instructor, Gilad. He's killed people with his thighs."
One of my top lines.
I also, it's just like one of those really great things that people do either in terms of like race or like ethnicity. Like, I have a Jewish friend, so I understand you.
I have a black friend. Oh yeah, let me look him up in the black pages. I bet I know him.
Also, when Rebecca decides to go full lie about like where she works and they leave and she's like, I don't really work here. And then she talks about the place that she does work in and she says that it's closed. And then she says to her mom, they're menches and they're in Mensa.
That was the part, again, we do a little bit too much of the cringy Rebecca, but I was like, you are so desperate for this woman's approval. You were just going to go 8 levels deep with this lie?
I also love how she just totally caves when Paula is like, you're a mom pleaser. And Rebecca's like, yep, I totally am. Please help.
So, you know what's funny? We've talked about on other podcasts many times about how, like, revenge is not going to bring you the joy that you think it will. Pleasing your mom, and I think Paula says this, there's nothing you're ever going to do that is going to make this woman approve of you or actually bring you any happiness. Yeah. And yet, you cannot convince Rebecca that
you got to work through... She's got to go see Dr. Akopian about that.
Or get back on her medicine.
Yeah. You also flagged this one when Calvin calls and Rebecca doesn't answer and Naomi says, what could be more important than work? And Rebecca says, I mean, some people would say family. Naomi's not down for that.
Felt like a bit of a mockery of our Americans love to brag about how much they work. I worked 150 hours of overtime. Super.
And my last one, and I never wear pantyhose because they cause yeast infections.
Okay, first off, what is the pantyhose thing? What am I missing here?
It's, they make you look more professional.
Okay.
So, like, it's, even if you, a lot of, like, military uniforms, like, people that aren't, fighting, but, like, desk people.
They're wearing pantyhose?
Like, pantyhose is, like, part of the uniform. Like, you cannot wear a skirt if you don't wear pantyhose. You can wear pants, but if you wear a skirt, you have to wear pantyhose. Like, it's, like... But, like, also, wearing fucking... Pantyhose make you hot. Like, you should not be wearing pantyhose in fucking Southern California.
Okay.
Just period.
What are they?
They're, like, tights.
Oh, okay. So it's just like wearing tights.
Yeah.
Weird.
They're usually nude colored.
Gotcha, so no one can tell you're wearing them.
Yeah, they're supposed to look like your legs, but nicer. It also used to be like they used to be made of silk, and it was like only rich people could have them. Like, it was like a whole thing.
Okay.
That was your first question. What's your second question about the pantyhose?
They can cause yeast infections?
Yeah, because they don't breathe.
Sure.
And they don't make them out of silk anymore, so they're made out of weird polyester stuff.
Oh.
So if you're in 100-degree heat in California, they're not going to give everybody a yeast infection, but it creates an environment where yeast infections thrive.
Gotcha. Alrighty then.
Yeah. Is that more than you ever wanted to know about yeast infections?
Yeah.
You asked for clarity.
Not mad at you. This is definitely mad at myself in the past right now. Like, you fucked this up, which is usually how I feel. Okay.
Do you have any other lines?
Nope. I think we hit all the ones I wanted. The grandma line was just so damn
Yeah,
funny.
that's one of my favorite moments. I have two, and my first one is, she said I drive like the grandma she's starting to think she'll never be.
That feels like the stereotypical mom pressuring daughter, why aren't you having kids? And you're depriving me of the opportunity to be a grandparent. You were so selfish.
Yep. My second favorite moment, we often talk about how Josh is dumb, and I'm not going to argue that Josh isn't dumb, but Josh had an insightful moment here when he and Rebecca meet each other at the mall. They talk about, like, whatever, she stood up to her mom and he figured out that he needs to grow up or whatever, and he says emotional jinx, which just feels very insightful for Josh.
Yeah.
And they both had a growth moment into that.
Like a moment of clarity for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you got?
I have one moment, but it's more conceptual, and I just referred to it as Greg's Nightmare Before Christmas.
I think that's really good.
Because there was what Greg pictured and what he sold to the audience, and then what actually happened. And the Venn diagram doesn't have any crossover, other than Greg. Greg is actually the nightmare.
The Venn diagram is two circles.
Yeah, with one small piece that overlaps, and it is literally Greg.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my favorite moment.
I think both of our favorite song was Where's the Bathroom?
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
I had it titled
Where's the Bathroom?
Mom Destroys Rebecca, because I didn't know the title of the song. Yeah,
I think that's a good... That should be the subtitle of the song.
Yeah. Where's the Bathroom? Fantastic song. Tells you everything you need to know about the character. It was hilarious. Like, hilarious.
Although, as a person who hates Christmas, I think we found your favorite Christmas song.
Yeah, definitely if you said, like, hey, you have to listen to a Christmas song, California Christmas Time would probably be...
I mean, there's some good stuff in there, but I think my favorite line in that song, not my favorite line of songs, which I will get to in a moment, is all our reggae bands are white.
I like the one where they talk about the guy who produces porn.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, like, they just had some really funny zingers in there. Like,
yeah, they did.
It was a good song.
It was good. My favorite line from Where's the Bathroom is a series of lines, because the whole song... There's a lot of lines in that
Not
song.
a lot of pauses.
Since when do you have a vendetta against vases? When did you stop wearing makeup? Are you sure that you're not gay? I'd still love you if you were gay. It would explain this vase vendetta. Please tell me if you're gay. And just the look on Rebecca's face as this is happening, too. She's like, what? If you would just let me say.
Beautiful. Just good job of introducing a character for exactly who she is.
Most ridiculous moment. I have two.
What's your second one?
My first one is like a small thing. especially because it was about a part of the episode that I really liked, but the way that all of the dancers have buttoned those flannels is so ridiculous. And then Josh keeps walking around like that. They only button, like, the very top button, which you normally wouldn't button anyway, and then it's just open. They are wearing shirts, though. But it seems like Josh should rip off his tank top. Like, that just feels very Josh.
This is one of those things where you're exposing how ignorant you are to that culture, because there's a very specific type of culture that does do the button up the one top. It's like
and no other buttons?
Yeah.
Why?
I think I'm pretty sure it's part of, like, the California look. Like, I want to say cholo, but that might be derogatory. But yeah, they're like, I know you don't.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like definitely a style. And it's pretty sure it's from California, where they would just wear the, like, that, and then everything that would be flared out. I think it's very Hispanic.
Okay.
So my second one was Rebecca ultimately learns nothing.
Mine is Rebecca asking Calvin to sleep with her mom.
Yep.
More than once. She says it twice.
Yes. I think after thinking about it, you may be more correct that she may have at least gained some progress with her mother. I don't think it was as far as I wanted it to go,
sure.
Which is maybe nothing isn't...
There's still 3 more seasons.
Yeah. Correct. But we definitely backslid. So that was a problem to me. But I think the most ridiculous and probably the most funny was Heather literally invited herself to somebody else's Christmas.
It was great. And he said yes.
And it's funny. And, like, it actually didn't even sound like an invite. It was more like, oh, so can you bring someone so, like, I can go?
Well, and I think the most interesting part about it is you were surprised about Heather and Greg.
Yeah.
But Greg was also surprised by it.
Yeah.
So he didn't think that this was a date.
No.
And he still said yes.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's not weird to bring a friend to a Christmas party. It's not weird to bring a date to a Christmas party. It's a little weird to bring a person that you've met once that you're not dating to a Christmas party.
It's a little weird to bring
a family Christmas party. A friend Christmas party would be different.
Yeah, like, it would be a little weird to bring a friend or even not a date necessarily, if you're serious, to an intimate Christmas setting. And what we were told was this was like this large gathering of people, not mom, stepfather, and children.
I mean, I don't think it would have been weird for, like, him to bring, like, Josh, like someone he's known since childhood.
Close family friend.
Yeah.
I mean, like a casual work friend probably doesn't go with you to these kind of things. A girlfriend, boyfriend, or, like, obviously I would go with, like, my best friend's family who I've known since I was 8 years old. That's normal.
It is also weird, like, even if this was a date, it's weird to take a date on your first date to meet your family. That's like a date 5.
But not the family you're close with.
Right.
The family you don't like.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of things about this. And again, his intentions, though, weren't to necessarily impress her. He was like, I need you to confirm that I'm correct. And boy, that did not happen.
Well, and, like, as the more that we talk about this, everything that we've said explains why Heather wanted to be there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. But even she was surprised because she was expecting, like, ooh, I want to see the chaos.
Yeah.
Like, this is a complete train wreck and you're the only normal person here. Then she's like, oh, no, this is actually very sweet and awesome. Oh, by the way, you're a disaster and a terrible person.
Yeah. I have 2 losers and 2 winners.
Same.
I will preface,
We don't have the same losers.
No, I think we probably do. I do think that everyone learned a lesson in this episode, so just prefacing that.
Sure.
My first loser is Greg.
We don't have the same losers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that he learns a lesson in the end, and he also gets the girl, so, like, that's great. But if you just think about, Greg has been doing this to himself for years.
Oh, yeah. 100% agree.
Years. And my second loser is Rebecca.
We have the same second loser.
It is... The thought of asking anyone to sleep with your mother is horrible. Asking your client to sleep with your mother is horrifying. Especially because Rebecca observed that Calvin was not interested.
Yeah.
Like, if he was interested and she was
like a Rebecca or a Paula situation.
Yes. If Rebecca observed that he was interested, and it's still weird, but if she wanted to be like, hey, this is weird because you're my client, but, like, I just want you to know, if you want to sleep with my mom, that's okay.
There's a vibe and I'm okay with it. Sure.
But that was not what was happening.
She basically kind of tried to prostitute Calvin out to get that ring.
Yep. Who's your second loser?
Well, there's two halves of that equation. Rebecca's loser number one.
Okay.
Naomi.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice.
This entire trip was false. You learned nothing real about your daughter. Your daughter spent the entire time lying to you. You blatantly hit on her client, who then had no interest in sleeping with you. Was anything of value gained on this trip? Did you even come to an understanding to become, like, closer to your daughter?
I mean, she now knows that Rebecca moved here for Josh.
Is that a win?
I don't know. She said that she wanted to learn more about her daughter.
Also, we found that out that, like, the reason that she has been doing this intentionally was because she worries about her. So this wasn't just like, I didn't know I did this. This was, I do this because I need you to be safe. L. Big, fat L.
I think that's good.
Two winners. Go.
Josh.
I didn't think about him at all.
I think that Josh had a genuine moment of clarity and realizes that he needs to grow up. And he got to do something really fun that he wanted to do. Like, he performed, and it, like, inspired him to maybe, like, better himself.
All right. You convinced me. I have three winners. I'm going to add Josh as my third place. But
Okay.
I agree with that.
Okay.
And nothing bad happened to him in this episode.
No.
Heather.
Oh, yeah. I think that's good. Yeah.
I don't know Heather's life well enough, but she had a blast.
She did. She had a really good time, and it wasn't even what she was expecting.
No.
And she, like, made someone have a personal growth moment.
Yeah. And, like,
and she got to kiss a dude that she thinks is cute.
And, like...
And not just she thinks is cute. Paul also thinks he's really cute.
I think Rebecca would say he's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a win for Heather. Nothing bad happened, all good things.
I also have Paula. Paula had a really good time, and no one in this entire episode did anything to please Naomi except for Calvin.
Yeah. And
Paula.
Yeah. I would have agreed with you if we got progress on the Paula Calvin thing.
Oh. Yeah, I would... I care less about the Paula Calvin progress and more about whatever Paula is doing about her situation.
That's what I meant. Like, the Paula Calvin trapped in a marriage.
Because it does seem like Calvin did something.
Going to grief.
He's going to grief here.
Yeah, so it's like he's trying to improve himself, whereas Paula seems to be...
To be fair, it's not that we don't know that Paula... Like, it's not that Paula's not doing anything. It's... We don't know. We didn't
I didn't get confirmation.
Paula.
Yeah. But I don't hate that. Just that's not where I went with that one. My other winner is actually Greg. And it's actually for almost the same reason that you said that he was a loser, is that, like, Greg has been tormenting himself for years, saying that his mother abandoned him and his family treats him like crap, and then, like, he came to the realization that that's not true. That's a win.
No, that's fair.
Feels like a win to me, and he got the girl that he wasn't even going for.
He got a hot girl.
Yeah, bonus win.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have Greg on that. And also, like, I guess to me, Greg and Heather winning is a nice synergy for, like, their Christmas was a victory. Rebecca and Naomi's Christmas was a fucking disaster, or Hanukkah, whatever you want to call it.
Hanukkah, which way is it really spelled?
I actually don't know that answer.
It's the thing.
No one knows the answer?
It's spelled differently all the time. She had, like, those 3 banners that she had. You could conceivably find any of those in a store. I think it's partially, like, Yiddish, Hebrew.
In English?
English, like... Englishification of Yiddish and Hebrew.
Englishification? I think it's called anglicizing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or discovering. So that opening scene with Rebecca, where she switches all of the artwork and everything, reminded me of in the OJ trial. When OJ was trying to convince the jurors of his blackness, literally, he took all of his actual artwork and photos down and put up nothing but artwork of black women and pictures of his mother. Wow. Because he didn't have any of those things up there before.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, next time, we are going to watch episode 9, I'm Going to the Beach with Josh and his friends.
Well, this could be fun. I'm assuming we see White Joe.
It's a 2 to 4 hour drive.
Only idiots say 2 hours. That I think could be a fun episode. I suspect we'll get a little bit of White Joe. Who's the other guy that was really funny? Miguel? Nope. Hector. Hector, like Hector.
Hector with the back coming in and out of the back and.
Yep. I suspect a beach episode will probably include Valencia, because that seems to be exactly what she'll head. Yeah, no, this could be interesting. I'm also curious to see how Rebecca reacts to Heather and Greg, because she seems like the type that doesn't want Greg, but doesn't want Greg to not be available for her.
Yeah, I think that's very accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, I'm looking forward to that episode.
Well, please be sure to join us next time. When we watch Season 1, Episode 9, I'm going to the beach with Josh and his friends.
We'll see you next time.